Okay. Okay. All right. We're live, then we're not live. Now we're live. We're live. We're live. Okay. So let's see what happens here. Had to grab my iPad. I had a little bit of a false start there. And let's see if we can find this show. This really big show. Really big show coming up. We're going to be talking about this Grand Seiko Stunner. Okay. All right. We're live, then we're not live. Now we're live. We're live. We're live. Okay. So let's see what happens here. What is happening? Had to grab my iPad. Is it going at 2x speed? Let's see if we can find this. That is very strange. Donald Duck. How did that happen? Maybe I should stay like Donald Duck. That is funny. How does it do that? How can a live show be sped up? That is bizarre. What do you think? Should I stop it and start it again? I was just listening to that. That's bizarre. How can it possibly do that? All right, let me stop this and restart it and see if that fixes it. Never a dull moment with YouTube live streaming, folks. So here we go. We're going to stop this. Okay, we're live again. Let's see if it's still funny. Let me see here. I'm going to kill this, relaunch so I can listen. Start it again? I was just listening to that. That's bizarre. How can it possibly do that? All right, let me stop this and restart it and see if that fixes it. Never a dull... Okay, we're live again. It's still doing it. I guess I'm going to have to restart the Video Pro. This is a new one. Hey, there's always something coming out of left field, folks. Always something coming out of left field. I'm going to restart the Video Pro and then do this again. It's going to take about a minute or so for that thing to restart. So smoke them if you got them. Let me stop this one more time.
Okay, we are live. It says we are live. Now let me see if we got Donald Duck still. Testing 1 2 1 2. Testing 1 2. This is a new one. Hey, there's always something coming out of testing left field. Testing 1 2.
Always something coming out of left field.
That's the old stream. Let me see if I can get this refreshed. Testing 1 2. Now let me see if we got Donald Duck. Okay. Still. Something on my tongue here. Okay. At least we got rid of Donald Duck. Testing 1 2. I don't know how. Testing 1 2. I don't know how it did that, folks. Maybe we should have left it Donald Duck for the whole show. What do you guys think? The Donald Duck show. Now you guys know why I like to have a watch that I can depend on. It's about the only thing you can depend on in this world is a good timepiece like this one right here. That is a robust piece. I tell you, I am starting to, yeah, I am starting to really like this GMT. Now, you know I've only had it about 48 hours, a little bit more than 48 hours, but it is just so amazing to study this piece and to look at the detail. And of course, it's the same thing with the diver, with this diver. I mean, but you know, I've had it for a year, so I'm kind of getting used to it, right? But this one, I'm still not used to it yet. Oh, look at the way those hands are lined up, the hour hand and the minute hand. Oh, that's kind of cool. It's only going to happen every 24 hours, folks. No, every 12 hours. It'll do that. Hey, we got to see when the GMT hand and the other two hands are all lined. Can all three hands line up at the same time? That would be at midnight, right? Straight up midnight. All three hands would be straight up there. Maybe we'll do a midnight show sometime and catch that and catch the second hand changing. What do you guys what do you folks think about that? So let's take a look real quick. Somebody asked about macro shots. I did go ahead and take some photos today, and I'll be including some of these in my full review that'll be coming up, but I'll give those of you that are VIPs a sneak peek. Looks like a Rolex Explorer 2, but with a blue color and red GMT hands, which is nice. Yeah, it borrows, there's the loom shot. It definitely borrows that bezel, but that's about the only thing. The lugs are different. The shoulders on the crown are different. Of course, the dial is completely different, and I would argue pretty freaking stunning. And that loom shot's pretty stunning, too. And so let's go through these photos real quick. I just took these today. There's another one showing the dial. A little bit more blue in that photo. It's hard for me to get the blue to come out in the photos. And in most lighting conditions, it looks very dark blue, almost black. Now, if you put it next to a black watch, you can definitely see that it's dark blue, right? But just looking at it on its own, but by the way, I did take the sticker off. Somebody asked me to take the sticker off. So I went ahead and took the sticker off the back. So there's that. And see the dust and all? I swear I clean this watch, I wipe it off, but when you do these macro shots, you still see dust. It's like pollen and stuff immediately just gets on there. I really have the utmost respect for macro photographers, for people that can do macro photography and get it really sharp without any specks of anything, without any reflections. You know, how they do it. They have real incredible soft boxes and a lot of patience, and they generally know what the heck they're doing. I think that's what it comes down to. But anyway, those are some photos that I took. And there's the fireman. We're back to the fireman. So, let's see here. Nice loom shot. Thank you, Carlos. After wearing your diver at Little Treasure, your description of it as a stunner is spot on. The watch screams out, "Look at me." It really is a pretty classy looking sports watch. I think it's got a lot of presence because it is a good size watch. But I think it looks kind of classy. I don't think it's over the top. I like the shape of the case. See? I really, they nailed it. I would like if this was thinner, if it was about 12 mils thick instead of 14, that would be nice. You know, I can pick apart any watch and try to make it better, right? That's the thing. Nothing's ever perfect, I don't think. Carlos's date 840 is pretty close, though. Pretty close. So let's take another quick look. Oh, let's pull up the time on the laptop here. Give me a second, and I'll pull up the current time. So I want an atomic clock. Atomic clock. Then I'll put them side by side here, and we'll see. I've readjusted the timing on this to try to get it right on, spot on the second. So let's see if we can do this. Let's do, is this it? Yeah. No, that's not it. Wait. Yeah, that's it. So there. Okay. So there we got the time next to the watch. Let's move this over. Get that just about right. This one. Okay. So let me do this. Let me pause this. Let me freeze frame it. When it gets right up at the straight up time, I'll try to freeze frame it here. Bam. Okay. Frozen frame. 4:26 p.m. straight up. So you can see there, I'm right on the second. Absolutely spot on atomic time. So what we'll do is we'll use this as our comparison. When we want to check the time, we'll use this as our comparison. So let me freeze it again, write it straight down at 6 o'clock. Bam, frozen right there. 4:26 and 30 seconds. And notice how that's perfectly centered. Now, it is only going to be centered in certain places because of the angle of the camera, the distortion in the lens. You can have the best lens in the world, you're going to have some distortion. And that lens that I have on it right now is not the best in the world. It's a fairly inexpensive camera. But you can see right there it's lined up again at the hash marks. It depends on what part of the sweep you're in as to whether or not it's going to be lined up right at the hash marks. You can see there it's getting off a little bit on that side. But you can see we're spot on. I did get it pretty much spot on. And the minute hand is very close to spot on. It's almost impossible. It is so sharp, and it's almost impossible to get that to line up absolutely perfectly. That's one thing I wish watches would do, is I wish watches would automatically be in alignment with the second hand, if you hear what I'm saying. In other words, when the second hand is straight up at the 12 o'clock, the minute hand should automatically be at the hash mark, the minute hash mark, right? But that's not the case. You can have them out of sync very easily. So we're going to freeze it when it gets straight up here. And you'll see that I'm a little bit ahead on the minute hand. Just the slightest bit frozen frame right there. Well, I froze it a little bit before it got there. But anyway, you can see there it's very close to the hash mark. Very, very close. When we get down to 30 seconds, we'll see if it's kind of in between those two hash marks and see how close I've got it. We'll do another freeze frame and check that puppy out. So this is how we do it on this channel. This is how we do it. Bam. Okay, so that's pretty damn close. It might be spot on. It's pretty close. But again, the camera angle does have some effect on it. And when you're looking at the watch in person, the angle that you're looking at it has an effect on that. You guys let me know in the chat what you folks think about that. What you think about that in the house. Let me go freeze frame. Let's see, we got camera 3 and 1. Let's do this just because we can do it. Let's go ahead and put the watch. I don't know if I should have the watch next to me during the show or not. What do you guys think? Think we should have the watch there? Is that a little bit too much? Well, we'll leave it there for a little while. What the heck? We can do that, so we'll do that. So, all right, Craig, you set the watch at Little Treasury around 3:30 p.m. Are you still running off that time set? No, I recalibrated because I was about a second fast. I didn't get it set exactly right, and so I pulled out and stopped it and pushed it in real quick to compensate 1 second. And as you just saw with the atomic clock, I've pretty much got it right on now. So I did that this morning. So now we've got it spot on with the atomic clock. And so we're going to, this is time.gov, by the way, is where I'm getting that time from. I guess that's accurate. So we're going to see how accurate this puppy is. Remember, Grand Seiko is well known for under-promising and over-delivering. Like on my diver stunner here, it's about 1 second, less than 1 second fast a month. Considerably less than 1 second. I think this thing's about 1 second fast now after like, when did we have the time change? How long ago was that we did the time change, the spring time change? This thing's about a second fast. So let me see here. I'm going to compare it to that watch right now. Maybe 2 seconds fast. So this watch right now is about 2 seconds fast. And that's since the time change this spring. So clearly it's much better than what they promised, which is plus or minus 15 seconds a month. Love the GMT stunner, Craig. Andrew in the house, member of the Wrench Gang. It seems to be out by a few seconds. Remember, you've got a delay on the broadcast. You can't go by what the broadcast says. You got to go by this. Okay? That's the comparison you need to make, because that's side by side here, local time, without the delay. And so you can see there, it's pretty much right on the second. Bam. I mean, it's just, you can't get any closer than that. It's just right on the freaking second. And I'll do another freeze frame here at 10 seconds after. There. See there? Atomic clock is 10 seconds after. My watch is 10 seconds. I mean, it's spot on. Spot on the time, folks. That's how we do it around here. That's how we do it. So let's take all these goodies off just for a moment. Let's see. 3 weeks. It's 3 weeks ago. No. That's not when the time change was. Time change was at the first part of March. So we had March, April. So basically we've had 2 full months. So I'm running about a second a month fast on this puppy here at this point in time. That's what's happening there. Hi all, at a party in D.C., so not able to participate much. Wanted to check in. Thanks again to Steve at Little Treasury Jewelers for a fantastic Grand Seiko event. Well, there you go. David Williams in the house. You're still in D.C.? Wow, I didn't know you were staying in town for a while. How long is the estimated battery life with the GMT? I've heard 3 years. Of course, this model has not been out that long. It's a new model, so we won't know really for 3 years if the GMT will last as long. Because, see, this is the first, as far as I know, this is the first 9F version movement with the GMT function, right? So does that use more power? Is it not going to last 3 years? And do they usually last more than 3 years? Maybe somebody can chime in the chat that has more knowledge on that. I was thinking about that today. I was thinking about whether or not I should set a reminder and every 3 years change the battery, whether it's giving the battery indication click or not, which skips, I guess it goes 2 seconds. Does it go 2 seconds or 3 seconds? I don't know. Anyway, it starts skipping a second or two to tell you that it's low. I wonder if I should head that off at the pass and have it replaced sooner. Certainly if I'm going to go traveling and it's getting close to doomsday, I would probably just go ahead and stop by and have lunch with Steve and have him throw a battery in there. And also pressure test it and all that. Make sure that everything's good to go. Our Wags was wearing a couple of gorgeous Rolexes, but the bark finished Rolex, I remember I did have one of those many years ago, and I actually sold it to Bill Steers, who was there at the event yesterday. Was it yesterday? Day before yesterday. Anyway, Thursday night. Bill Steers was there. This is 2 events now that I've gone to that an old friend of mine who I've sold a watch to was there. He had an old Seiko he was trying to get fixed. And so he was there, and probably about 1985 or so, 86, I sold him my bark finished date 8. So small world. That was funny that he was there. He doesn't have the date 8 anymore, though. Unlike Paul Faupel, who I've sold several watches to over the years, Paul Faupel has kept all the watches that I sold him. He's got the red sub. He's got the 125th anniversary Omega? Yeah, I think 125th anniversary Omega. And he's got an old bubble back Rolex. All 3 I sold him. He's still got all 3 of them. I might have sold him another watch, too. I don't remember. How's the loom on the GMT? There isn't that much loom, to be honest with you. I mean, if you're a loom person, I would say get this watch here. I mean, it's got a lot of loom on it, right? I'll go back to the loom shot and show you the loom shot. It's not that much loom. The hands are not that thick, okay? So there's not that much loom on them. Let me show you this while I'm going through these photos so you can get an idea. There's a loom shot right there. I mean, it looks gorgeous, right, in that shot. But again, macro shots are not like real-world shots. I mean, in real world, you look at this watch with the loom. It's a small amount of loom. It's a sliver of loom on that hand and on the 2 hands, right? It's just a sliver. So it's not by any means dominating like this watch. This watch, I mean, when it's glowing in the dark, I mean, it's no way you cannot read it. I mean, you can read it you can read this watch at a glance in any circumstances. That's the benefit of having a 44 mil diver, because remember, when you got a 40 mil like a Rolex sub, you're starting out with a 40 mil watch, and you put that bezel around it, your dial is relatively small. Your dial is about the size of a Datejust 36. all right, because of that bezel. And this one, you've got a relatively good sized dial because it's a 44 mil watch, right? And then you got the huge hands, huge amounts of lume. Let me give you a closer shot. I mean, you see what I'm talking about. It's huge, right? And the marker at 12 and the marker at 6 are huge. I mean, it's just, of course, it's a diver's watch is design. That's one of the things that you want in a diver's watch is extreme legibility because you're looking at it underwater and stuff, right? So, two different animals, two different use cases. This watch is more elegant, more of an all-arounder, and it serves that purpose, I think, extraordinarily well. I think it's exceptional in the case design, the way it sits on the wrist. I've got a video up that I put up that shows a lot of wrist shots. I did that on purpose. I put that up earlier today. Take a look at it. Shows a lot of wrist shots. And that's where that watch excels, is being trim and flush to the wrist. And, well, let me pull that up. I'll pull that up. I'll try to pull it up at least. Let's see what I can do. Hi, Craig. Recently discovered your channel and really enjoyed your videos. Jeff in the house. Well, there you go. Well, if you become a regular, we'll have the Wrench Gang interview you, and maybe you'll become a member of the Wrench Gang. Let's see here. Carlos says, does a Explorer 39 have a bigger dial than a sub? We'll go ahead and show that. We can show that. That's a good question. There are websites that show the stats as far as the dial sizes on these different watches, but you'd be surprised what you'll find when you look into that. It is a gorgeous GS. Craig, why did you sell Bill the Bubbleback Rolex? I always wanted one. I didn't sell that to Bill. I sold that to Paul Falpel, who was at the other event. I don't know if you remember the video from the watch wardrobing contest event that Steve had, where I did a video. I interviewed Paul in that video, and he's the one that bought that. This was years ago. I went through watches. I didn't keep watches as long as I do now. And so I sold several watches to Paul. And I bought that Bubbleback cheap. I don't remember where I bought it, but back then the watches weren't that expensive. And so, yeah, he always liked the watches that I had. And anytime I was going to sell one, he always wanted the first stab at it. Okay, so let me find this video here real quick to show you the wrist shots, in case you haven't seen it. You guys have probably seen it, but let me pull it up here.
Okay, so those of you that have been following my channel, you know I've had my eye on the Grand Seiko SBGN005, the GMT with the 9F, yes, quartz movement, the best quartz movement in the world, in my opinion. I've had my eye on this watch for a while, and I went to Steve's big event on Thursday, and I saw one in person for the first time. And as is often the case, when you see one of these watches in person, it's even more impressive than any photos or videos that you've seen. So, of course, I couldn't leave the store without it. So here we go. Here it is on wrist, and I should have wiped it off a little bit more. I tried to wipe it off with a microfiber, but you know, these macro shots show pretty much everything, or semi-macro. I mean, it's fairly close up. But I'll tell you, what's really impressive about this watch, again, is the comfort on wrist. And my diver, which is titanium, is also very comfortable on wrist because of the titanium. This one is very comfortable on wrist because it's relatively trim. You can see there, it sits very flat on the wrist, 12 mils thick, 39 mils side to side. So it's really a sweet spot for an all-around watch if you want something super comfortable to wear on wrist and that is going to be usable in any situation. This even fits underneath my dress shirt cuffs, my tight dress shirt cuffs. So this could be an all-arounder for sure. And the fact that it has a screw-down crown, you see that clasp there, by the way, is also very trim. which all of this helps when you're slipping it under a shirt cuff. Everything needs to be trimmed, the bracelet, the watch, because it all has to go underneath that cuff, right? It all adds up. So when you have a very flat clasp like that, then that helps a lot with that sort of thing. So 2 thumbs up. There are a couple of things I would like to see if they could come out with a clasp that's this trim that also has like 3 or 4 micro adjustments. That would be a plus. Also, for me, I would like hands that were a little thicker.
All right, so there you go. That is the video I put up earlier today, and I really focused on the fit on the wrist and the fact that it's only 2 millimeters thinner than this, but that makes a difference. Those 2 millimeters really make a difference. And the size also, not only is it thinner, but it's 39 mils versus 44 mils. So the whole watch is much trimmer. The bracelet is even a little bit trimmer. The clasp is a lot trimmer, a lot flatter on wrist. So it'll fit under my tightest dress cuffs with no problem. I've already tested it. I had it on. I had a fairly tight shirt cuff on when I tried it at Little Treasury, make sure that it would work, and that was really the deciding factor. So, okay, we got a few more questions. According to Grand Seiko's website, the 9F86 using the GMT has a battery life of approximately 3 years. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how that holds up. If it goes 3 years or 3.5 years, or what happens in real world use, because again, these haven't been around long enough for us to know, right? Let's see. The Explorer 39 should have a bigger dial. The bezel is thinner than the subs. Yeah, that'd be an interesting thing to know, Cheetown. I mean, does it, because it's a 40 mil, so there you get a millimeter there, right? So it really depends on what is the thickness difference of that bezel. That'd be interesting to know. I bet you they're pretty close, though. Let's see. Okay, we already read that. Is this the watch you decided on purchasing, Craig? One problem with GS were the size and thickness, but they seem to nail it with the GS GMT. I still am not 100% sold on the looks, though. Well, Jesus saves. There we go. I don't know. It looks pretty good to me. Looks pretty stunning to me. And looks better in real life. Trust me, if you look at it in real life, it really looks nice. Wags, chime in the comments. What do you think? I mean, we were discussing this when I interviewed Joe. I mean, to me, it is really hard to capture the quality of these watches in photos or video. You really have to see them. There's just something about them, the way they reflect light and the whole deal. It's just pretty amazing. Carlos says, I do not have a sub, but I can certify that Explorer 39 visibility is great. Yeah, absolutely. Explorer's great. Great watch. Wags, Carlos, Steve had a super nice used sub for sale. Well, there you go. I recently obtained the Rolex GMT Master 2 all black and the Rolex Milgauss Z Blue. Love them both for daily wear. Well, there you go. You got two beauties there. I guess so. Personally, between those two, now does the GMT have a Jubilee bracelet on it? If the GMT has a Jubilee, I would probably sell the Milgauss and just rock the GMT Master 2 with the Jubilee forever. That's a hell of a watch. Some people like the Oyster bracelet on them. I mean, that's okay too, but I think the Jubilee looks stunning. Cheetown, California. Joe Kirk was a great presenter. Was watching a podcast of him. Yeah, I did watch that podcast. That was a great podcast. Apple Watch will be collecting dust now. It's been collecting dust for a while. I haven't been wearing that much. It's been collecting a lot of dust. But it still works. It's, 4 years old now or something? It's version 1. Still works. Original battery and everything. I'd buy a pre-owned Rolex from Steve in a heartbeat. Well, he always has good deals on any of his pre-owned watches. He doesn't try to gouge. He gets pre-owned Grand Seikos from time to time, and he usually has them at a good price. Let's see here. How long does the battery last? Well, we talked about that. It's supposed to go 3 years, but time will tell that tale, literally, right? I'm hoping it goes even longer than 3 years, but the first 3 years will tell me, like if it goes longer than 3 years, then what I might do is I might set a reminder just every 3 years and just go, like I say, take Steve to lunch or whatever, and just have him throw a battery in it, just to be on the safe side. If it ends up that it runs like 3.5 years or something routinely, then I'll probably just set a reminder and just do it every 3 so that I know that I don't get into the danger zone and be traveling somewhere and have to have some yamoke change the battery. When it starts doing the low battery indicator where it skips a second or whatever it does, I don't know how much longer it runs after that. I don't know if it runs a month like that or what the deal is, but I'll probably just replace it just to be on the safe side on that deal. I wonder what Archie Lecturer is going to say about the GS9F. I don't think we have to wonder much. I don't think he's a big fan of any quartz watches, I would say. So there you go. Take care of your clients, and they'll keep coming back. Buy more from you. There you go. Yeah, and Steve takes good care of folks. He really does. So let me think. Let me refresh this here just to make sure I've got everything current on comments and all that good stuff. It'll refresh. There we go. Trying to think what else I was going to say. Oh, let me go through the comments on this video that we just had up, because there were some interesting comments. This was the video from today. Oh, excuse me. All right, so here we go. These are the comments. Looks great, especially with the blue dial. I'm very tempted, even though I have a SBGN007. I'm guessing that when the sun hits that blue dial, it'll really pop. I haven't had it out in hard sun yet, so I can't comment on that. It's been cloudy and dreary here the last couple days. Had a little bit of sun, but not full on hard sun. Craig, here's an interesting one. Bud comments, Craig, be honest, you didn't pay full price, being you're such a GS component. I don't know what he meant by component, or maybe component. Okay. Proponent, maybe he meant? I don't know. But anyway, I can't comment on this. It's interesting. There's no reply option. I don't know why that is the case. Maybe somebody can fill me in. I should be able to reply, right? But I can't reply. So I'll reply here. So here's the deal, okay? I don't generally pay full price for any new watch. I'm not in that boat where I'll pay like full list. I'll just pass on the watch. So I do get a deal. I negotiate the best deal I can get. And I did that when I bought this watch from Steve. All right. Before I had done promotion and helped him sell watches and all of that, I wandered into his store, looked at the watches, looked at this for the first time, and I made a cash offer. I pulled cash out of my pocket and I put it on the counter and I said, take it or leave it. This is my offer. This amount of money, no tax, no nothing, this cash money, and I get the watch. And he hemmed and hawed and blah, 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 and then he said, all right, I'll do it, right? And that's the way most of my watch deals go. That's the way my watch deals have been going for 40 years. I paid cash money for the dates that I bought in the past. Now now they'd have to fill in all kinds of paperwork and all kinds of crap. You know, if I went down to the AD with, let's say, $30,000 in cash to buy a date, they'd want to lock me up. You probably can't do that anymore. But back in the day, I sure as hell did. I bought all my dates with cash money. So there's that. All right, so let's go through the rest of these comments real quick, and then I'll get back to your comments. I thought the spring drive was your thing, Craig. Okay, I'm liking this watch myself. It's gorgeous. I replied to him. I said, I still like my spring drive diver. There's the model number. But this GMT is more of an all-around watch. My dress cuffs are too tight for the diver, so this GMT meets that use case. Also, when I travel, it's nice to have GMT function. For now, I'm keeping both. And then I put a link to my page about Grand Seiko. Craig, can we get a loom shot? Just showed one. There you go. That's how we handle that type of thing. Stunning quality piece. The dial is super legible. By the way, you guys should join the Flickr group for Grand Seiko. Join that group, and then that's where I post my Grand Seiko photos. Stunning quality piece. The dial is super legible, and the bracelet looks so fluid on wrist. And I replied, I said, it is a nice piece. Okay, the Breitling in-house thermocompensated super quartz, which is also rechargeable, and a COSC chronometer. Spec for spec, I would have that over the GS, but the GS is a fine-looking watch, okay? And then I responded, the GS might be a little more robust, and I think it is. I think the design of the GS is really heavy-duty, especially the way it's sealed, the battery compartment area, the movement is all sealed and can go like 50 years between servicing and all that. So you have to look at the whole picture. You have to look at every aspect of it, not just a couple of aspects, right? To me, the 9F, I think, has the edge when it comes to being more robust. So that would push me over the edge because 10 seconds a year, the accuracy is a non-issue, in my opinion. Then we look at durability, we look at the construction of the case, we look at the screw-down crown, we look at all of those issues. That's a beautiful blue peeking out, okay. I can appreciate Seiko workmanship in these watches, and like you said, the best quartz movement in the world, 9F, okay, blah, blah. Every 50 years, I'm actually saving up to get the Grand Seiko SBGN005 with the same movement. Okay, so and then I responded to that. You're going to remove the stickers? I went ahead and removed the sticker. Okay, I did that. This guy says, don't like quartz. So I responded, no problem. There are many options. The 9F is not for everyone. Hey, you don't like quartz? Don't buy it. You don't like the watch? Don't buy it. That's the cool thing. Well, you don't have to buy these watches. They're expensive anyway. But the watch is beautiful, he said. I said, especially in real life. So there you go. There's some comments. Oh, I just stopped showing the comments. Well, anyway, I was reading them. So there you go. Those are the comments on the video I put up earlier today with all the wrist shots. Just so you know, that's where those comments were. Let's see. Love my Speedmaster as a daily wear. Okay. Do you have any experience with Panerai, and what are your thoughts on them? I don't like the Panerai. I don't like the looks of them, so I wouldn't have any interest in one of those. I would pass on those. Let's see here. Love my Speedmaster daily wear. Okay. Seiko has to up the game since Citizen brought the 0100 quartz. Again, it's not just the accuracy, it's the whole package, right? When you get to 10 seconds a year accuracy, that's pretty good. All right, so now you got to look at durability, you got to look at the overall design, you got to look at, like on this watch, I've got a screw-down crown, so I've got, 100-meter water resistance, a nice rugged everything, right? So you got to look at the whole package. No, I don't know that Citizen has something that gives you that whole package. Maybe they do. Maybe they do. I didn't get a chance to look. I wanted to look at the Citizens and all at the event. We had so many issues with the live stream, trying to troubleshoot and get the audio right and all that kind of stuff. I just didn't even have time to look at watches. I looked at a few of the Grand Seikos. I'm going to have to, next event, I'm going to just have to tell Steve he's going to have somebody else handle the technical stuff so that I can enjoy the event. I didn't even get a chance to. I did eat, though. Man, he puts out some good food. And I didn't get a chance to talk that much to the Wrench Gang. I would have liked to have spent more time with the Wrench Gang, but it was just one thing after the other when I was there. So next time we'll have more downtime, hopefully. Good enough for the astronauts, it's good enough for me. There you go. For some reason, those first factory batteries seem to last longer than the later replacements. That's an interesting point. Well, maybe a lot of people replace them with lesser batteries. Maybe that's part of the problem. If a battery's been on the shelf a long time or something, who knows? Cheetown, California, since when does paying full retail for a watch make you somehow more respectable? I hear you. What he was trying to imply is that I've been bought, and that the only reason I'm buying the Grand Seikos is, you know, I've been influenced and so on and so forth. But here's the deal. I wear these watches, okay? I wear these when I'm out with clients, when I'm out around working and all that. I'm not going to wear something that I don't like and I don't enjoy. I'm too old for all that, okay? So I don't care. Like, for example, if Omega came to me and said, I want you to wear a Speedmaster, right? Since somebody just brought up the Speedmaster in the chat. I wouldn't wear it because it's just not a watch I would wear. I don't want the chronograph function. I don't want the busy dial. I have enough trouble reading the dials on these relatively plain watches because, again, I'm in denial. I don't like to wear my reading glasses all the time, right? So I like legibility and I like durability, and I wouldn't want to have to pay to service a chronometer, a chronograph. So that just wouldn't be the watch for me. So they could come to me and try to bribe me and try to say, hey, wear this watch and so on and so forth. I wouldn't do it. Now, if they offered a lot of money, you know, $100,000 or something, I'd probably wear it for a year, but they're not going to do that. And Steve wouldn't do that. Trust me. Hey, Grand Seiko, first of all, they're clueless when it comes to marketing and branding. I mean, they would have no clue that would even be a good idea to do, right? To like pay somebody to wear their watches and stuff. If they were smart, and you guys are going to laugh, if they were smart, they should approach Archie. I bet you if they offered him $5,000 and gave him a watch, I bet you he'd wear the watch for a year on his show. Right? I mean, if they were smart, they should do that. Because a lot of watch people watch him, right? He's an influencer, let's face it. And I guarantee you he'd take the money and he'd do it. But they're not smart enough to do that. I could tell them right now, I could sit down with them for 10 minutes and I could tell them how they could really take on Rolex and really go head to head with them. But here's the other problem. They can't build enough watches to do that anyway. They're not a mass production operation. They can't make 800,000 watches a year. I think that's about what Rolex makes, you know, 800,000, something like that, watches a year. Grand Seiko could never crank out that many watches with their 2 facilities. I mean, there's just no way. There's no way they could crank out that many. So that's the other issue on that. Let's see. Greg, how many watch manufacturers have the know-how and advanced technology to produce in-house high-quality raw quartz crystals like Seiko? Seiko grows its own quartz. It's a good question. That's a very good question. I don't know the answer to that, but I would say, first of all, the whole procedure that they do with these watches, there's so much handwork and everything. No, nobody else can really do that. Nobody has the patience to do that. You got to give them credit where credit's due. They have a lot of patience building these watches. Craig, do you know if Grand Seikos have higher grade of Lumibrite than normal Seikos? That's a good question too. I don't know. And good luck getting that information out of Grand Seiko. You know, good luck on that. The few questions that I asked them about technical questions and all back in the day when I first was looking into these watches, I didn't get any answers. So there's that. You got to kind of on your own with these things. Craig said, "Oh, did I miss the SBGN005 part of the discussion?" Well, we talked about it a lot in the beginning and showed a lot of photos and some video content and some accuracy things. Yeah, you might have missed some if you came in late. Just go back and watch the beginning when you get a chance. The SBGN005 will be my next purchase. Peter in the house. Are you going to buy from my buddy Steve? He'll take good care of you. Our Wags. Craig, you're absolutely right about the cash. You bring 20 to 30K cash to the bank, and they're thinking you're a drug dealer or at least laundering money. Forms will be required. Yeah, it's a pain in the neck. It's a pain in the neck. And this is funny. This is he a congressman or a senator, the guy that recently came out and said they need to ban Bitcoin? Let me see if I can search this. This is funny. I think this is hilarious. Ban Bitcoin. Let me see if I can find this video. It's everybody's sharing it. All the Bitcoiners are sharing it. Here it is. Here it is. And this is on bitcoinist.com. I guess this is real. Let me see if I can. Let me see if he's got the video here. All right, so here's the guy. Let me share the screen here and I'll show you. This is funny. I want to talk about this real quick. Here's the guy. Okay, he's a congressman, I guess. And he wants to ban Bitcoin, right? So they've got the, I don't really want, oh, well, what the heck. So we're going to go here and we're going to say, we're going to read his quote. This is funny. I don't need to play the video because this is the quote, right? I look for colleagues to join with me in introducing a bill to outlaw cryptocurrency. Owner purchases by Americans so that we nip this in the bud, in part because an awful lot of our international power comes from the fact that the dollar is the standard unit of international finance and transactions. Clearing through the New York Fed is critical for major oil and other transactions, and it is the announced purpose of the supporters of cryptocurrency to take that power away from us, to put us in a position where the most significant sanctions we have on Iran, for example, would become irrelevant. So whether it is to disempower our foreign policy, our tax collection, enforcement, or our law, traditional law enforcement, the purposes of cryptocurrency, the advantage it has over sovereign currency is solely to aid in the disempowerment of the United States rule of law. And I put all the uhs in there just like he did in his, this is a transcript, I guess, of the exact quote of what he said. So anyway, this guy, I think this is great. This guy comes right out and says, hey, we want to control your money. We want to be able to manipulate it. We want to be able to say who can pay who and when they can pay them. And if you're a bad guy, if we deem you to be a bad guy, we want to be able to shut you down. And this is worldwide. We want to be able to just control everything, control everybody all over the world. And we want to do it through the money. We don't want you to have any say over any sovereignty over your money. We want to have sovereignty over your money. We just want to control you, okay? So just relax and just let us control you and everything will be good. This is what this guy just came right out and said. I think it's hilarious. And I think it's neat that this battle is going to rage. And maybe they can shut down Bitcoin. I mean, that's been my concern from the start when I got involved in it, 5 or 6 years ago. I actually learned about it even before that, and I dragged my heels before I got involved in it because I thought they'd shut it down. I thought they would have nipped it in the bud, and then it went on. I heard about it in the very early stages, like maybe 2011, about 2011, somewhere in there. And I said, no, the government can't possibly let this thing go. They're going to shut this whole thing down. And then I heard about it again, like 2013, 2014, something like that. And I'm like, hey, this thing is still around, still going. I said, I better grab some, right? So my buddy in Canada was telling me all about it. And so I went ahead and grabbed some. And now it's still around like 10 years after it was birthed, right? I think it's hilarious. I think it's absolutely hilarious that they haven't been able to kill this thing yet. What are they going to do? This guy comes right out and says, we want to control everything, guys. I mean, the whole world, right? Internationally. I think it's funny. Okay, let me read some of these comments. Let's see. Check out Archie's vid. Okay, here we go. Also remember that quartz watch is more and more resilient than automatics since they have fewer moving parts, so the 9F will be even more accurate than that. Yeah, and it's also supposed to go 50 years minimum without any servicing. Just change the battery. Jeff Klein, check out Archie's vid on the nightmare of service on high-end Swiss watches. Not only price, but finding someone to do it well. Seiko on young men and women. Well, see, that's the reason why I didn't have my Rolexes serviced. The ones I bought new, I had a couple watches serviced that I bought used that were in bad shape when I bought them, and I knew they needed service when I bought them. That's why I got a good deal on them. But the ones I bought new, I never had them serviced. And the one I kept the longest was the 18238. I had it 19 years. I never had it serviced. It was running fine. I wasn't going to go anywhere near anybody opening that case and messing with it, unless I absolutely have to. Let's see, the Citizen is so expensive. I think they start at $15K. Okay. Yes, it's tremendous money for a new Citizen. Okay. I think that's their limited production one, right? I prefer the silky smooth movement of the 9S and spring drive movement on the GS. Well, this one has the click second to second, right? This one has the smooth spring drive. Let's take a close-up of that. And look at all that pollen that's on it. I mean, there's just so much pollen around. But look at that second hand. So there you go. Okay. One downside of those 9F are service costs. When battery has to be changed once in 3 years, it will cost here $130 a year. Do it yourself. That's pretty easy to switch the battery out. It shouldn't cost anywhere near that much to put a battery in one of those watches. I think Steve will do it for free for me. I mean, I know he will. Yeah, it's a $10 job, folks. I mean, if somebody's charging you that kind of money, there's something wrong. I got a local watch guy here in town who will switch out a battery in a quartz watch for $10 all day long. And you can buy like 5 batteries for $7 on Amazon. You can switch it yourself if you have to. But no, you shouldn't have to do any of that. Yeah, no. That shouldn't be a problem. You're gonna spend a lot less money on service cost on something like this than any mechanical Swiss watch. Trust me. Trust me on that one. There's not going to be a comparison. That's a gorgeous watch, I'll tell you it is. Let's see. How's my audio, by the way? How's my audio level? Let's see. GRs are too busy handcrafting to focus on mass producing. I hear you. Absolutely. The Japanese craftsmen, second line, they do a hell of a job. Considering Brad Sherman takes significant campaign contributions from investment firms and banks, I'm not surprised you. No joke. And here's the thing. I really don't like it when people use the term cryptocurrency because they're implying that all of these altcoins and any of these things that use crypto and that can theoretically be used as a currency are like a viable thing. And 99.9% of them are all scams. We really should just talk about Bitcoin, and let's use Bitcoin as an international form of money transfer and of storage of wealth. And Bitcoin is the deal. Bitcoin's the real deal. These others, most of them are centralized. Pretty much all of them are centralized, and or they're just scams, and or they don't even have a blockchain at all. If Bitcoin doesn't work, if they kill Bitcoin, trust me, the whole concept of having a decentralized, robust store of value dies with it. There's nothing else that's going to do it decentralized. And if the feds create a coin or whatever, that's all centralized. That's not the same thing. So I don't like using this term cryptocurrency. We should just say Bitcoin. Bitcoin is it. And the fact that it uses cryptography, that's just one element of it, okay? That's just one element of the concept and of what makes it so special. Just because something has cryptocurrency doesn't mean that it's Bitcoin, is I guess what I'm saying. And they are not. Let's see here. Current Bitcoin price about $7,000, Craig. Way to go. Keep the train moving up. I don't know if it's going to keep going up. I think we're going to get a pullback. What goes up must go down. But theoretically, when it goes down, then it's going to go back up higher. So we'll see what happens. Higher highs and lower lows, right? Higher highs and higher lows. I get that. We don't want to get that backwards. Okay. I'm still hoping for a dip down to like $3,100 so I can snag some more cheap Bitcoin, but it might not happen. I might not get another chance to buy it below $5,000. We might not see another chance. Think about that, folks. I remember a couple years ago when I interviewed Adam Meister, we were speculating. It was like $1,250 then. And we were speculating as to whether or not it would hit $5,000 by 2020. We were speculating because that's the next halving, right? Next year. And we were like, we'd be tickled pink if it hit 5,000 by 2020. And then, of course, 2017, we had a huge run up, went to almost 20 grand, then went down. Now it's back up. That's what Bitcoin does, goes up and down. But now we're in a situation where we might not see below 5,000 again. It's very possible that we might not see Bitcoin at below 5,000, and we're not even to 2020 yet. So this is pretty amazing stuff. We are witnessing history in the making. This can be an earth-shaking thing, this Bitcoin thing. It could end up being bigger than the internet itself. Just keep that in mind, folks. And keep in mind the fact that there are 36 million millionaires in the world. 36 million of them, right? They can't each own even half a Bitcoin. There aren't enough Bitcoin to go around for them to own even one half a Bitcoin. So the millionaires, they can't even own one Bitcoin, all of them. Right? That illustrates how short the supply is on Bitcoin and how rare a commodity it is to own just one Bitcoin, right? Let's see. Here's another question. How often do you need to change the battery? Also, does the watch need to go back to Japan? And what if is there no AD? No, and just about anybody competent can change the battery. No, that should not be an issue. Should not go back to Japan. No. Swatch group movements are problematic. The Powermatic 80 needs to be sent back to the factory to get service. It can't be regulated by a watchmaker. And the System 51 movement is sealed for life. Okay, well, there you go. That sounds like a throwaway piece. One more reason why I'm not buying that watch. Let's see. If they ban BTC, it will go underground and shoot to the moon. Well, we'll see about that. We'll see if it'll shoot to the moon. It doesn't have to go underground. That's the interesting thing about it, is it's a worldwide thing anyway. If the United States of America decides to opt out, then all the technology and all the innovation will go to other countries. And the United States will become a third world country, right? They'll be just left out. That's how that works. I don't think that's going to happen because I think there are too many smart people that realize that that would not be a good move. That'd be like cutting yourself off from the internet, right? Letting the internet be everywhere else in the world and you cutting yourself off, right? That's not a good plan, I don't think. And this would be even more impactful than that, assuming that it becomes a worldwide currency. I hope you have a live chat with Archie in the show again. Archie never came on this show. I was on his show one time, but he doesn't want me back. So that's not going to happen. And he would never come on this show. He doesn't generally come on other people's shows. So there's that. And this is a troll-free zone anyway, so I don't think he would enjoy it. Let's see, Peter. Changing battery is simple, but they have to change rings for water resistant too. Well, that is if you want to be water resistant. It depends. I mean, if it's still in good shape, I'm sure if you take that back off and you carefully replace the battery and replace it, as long as the gasket is still good and all that, my guess is it would be fine. But they can test it. Somebody competent doing it. I mean, they should be able to pressure test the watch. How are you going to rotate your Grand Seikos? Watch doctor in the house. Good question. I'm going to probably wear this one most of the time when I have my sleeves rolled up like now, when I don't have to worry about the thickness issue. And then when I'm in more of a dress situation or I have my tighter cuffs on, I'll probably wear the other. And sometimes I might just put the other on and wear it at GMT just for fun. But my main go-to beater watch will probably remain this watch here, right, for the most part. Because another advantage is this one here, it's not going to stop. If I leave it off my wrist for 5 days, it doesn't matter. It's running fine, right? Whereas this one requires a little bit of wrist action. So there's that. What do you think about Seiko Prospex LX line? I didn't get a chance to look that close at them, but a lot of the Seiko Prospex watches I like. I think they're good pieces. Some of them are too big and bulky. But, yeah, I would just look them over really close and I like to measure 7 times and cut once when I'm buying a watch. I took my time deciding on this watch. Trust me. Remember, we talked about it a lot on the channel. And I researched the heck out of it. And, that's the way I am. Because for me, buying a watch is a big step. It's a lot of money. And, I'm not a rich guy. I do okay, but I'm not a rich guy that I can just throw money around. And so I researched the heck out of this sort of thing before I put my hard-earned money down and buy something. So I suggest you do the same. Let's see here. Man, these videos are truly entertaining. Honestly, feels like sitting around with a friend talking about interesting stuff. Keep it up, Craig. Well, thank you. Thank you, my friend. And if you become a regular, maybe you can become a member of the wrench gang at some point. I don't see a bunch of wrenches in here right now, so we don't have enough wrench people. Cheetown, California. Yes, the System 51 movement is meant to be thrown away once it breaks. Much of the time, keeping components are made from plastic. Oh, that's a shame. That's a shame. Archie is quite a character. Used to watch his videos. Yeah, he is. He's quite an entertainer, and I think if he would have stayed away from all the vulgarity and all that, I think he could have gotten some great corporate sponsors, and he'd be rolling in money by now because he's very knowledgeable. He's obviously dedicated to the watch industry, but I think all the nastiness, I know that I told Steve he should sponsor him. He should get on his, his refrigerator there. He should get littletreasury.com on there and all. But Steve watched one of his shows and all the vulgarity and everything. He said, I'd never sponsor him. So that's not smart. Doing all that stuff is not smart. Seiko says you can expect at least 50 years before your 9F movement needs lubrication and other mechanical parts will require attention. I think you're right. I think that's the way it's going to go down. I hope I can get 50 years out of it. I'll be 110, I guess. Wait, 50? No. Yeah. I'll be 111, something like that. I'll be more than 100 years old. Okay. So there we go. But Craig, you mean to tell us that your Grand Seikos aren't going to live in a bank safe as investment pieces? Can you imagine? Can you imagine investing in a watch? Holy mackerel. Then you got these guys in the forums that come out with all these examples. Oh, yeah, I bought a Pepsi and, I've made $8,000 on it. And I said, did you sell it? And he said, no, I haven't sold it. I said, well, you haven't made anything yet, guy. Don't count your chickens till you've hatched them. Wait until you sell that puppy and get the actual money in your hand, and don't get scammed and don't have to pay a commission to somebody to sell it. And wait until all's said and done, and then you know how much money you made. You didn't make anything until you sell that puppy. I think a lot of these speculators are going to get caught holding the bag. It's my opinion. Craig, how does the blue GMT dial do in a sunny condition? Still great. I haven't had it in really hard sun yet. There hasn't been. It's been dreary and cloudy here. I had it in a little bit of sun earlier. It still didn't look that blue. It still looked pretty dark. Here it looks real dark, right? Almost black. But in some lighting it looks, a little more blue than that. But if you want something to really look blue, I don't think this is the watch for you. Because for me, in almost all lighting conditions, it looks very dark blue, very, very midnight blue, You can tell it's blue only if you put it if I put it next to this watch that's black, right? Then I can tell it has a blue tint to it, right? But it is not blue. It's not blue like on this shirt. I mean, it is very dark. And I like that. I think it's real classy looking, right? And it gives good contrast for readability. So there's a lot of benefits to it. But if you wanted blue per se, you ain't getting blue. That's how that goes. Got a Patek 5711, a VC Overseas, Speedies, and a Batman Rolex. Hulk, but my daily wear to work now is the GS SBGN005 on a strap, rotating with a JLC collector dial chronograph. Two great brands to daily wear. Watch Doctor in the house is loaded up with some heavy horology. There you go. Now there's a man of means, okay? He can afford to buy all those watches. He's got to be rolling in dough, and I congratulate him for that. I'm a capitalist. I think it's good. Archie is too crude for my taste, says A.J. McDonald Jr. in the house. Okay, Cheetown, California, there is another YouTuber out there who put his Batman in a safe as an investment base. He had to sell it to pay for his moving expenses. And expressed that he wished he wore it more. Wear your watches. Well, but if he would have worn it more, he probably wouldn't have gotten as much money. A lot of people that want to pay a premium for those watches, they want one that's pristine. So, since he was keeping it as an investment, a store of value, if you will, he did the right thing by preserving it, knowing he was going to sell it like that. So yeah, if he'd have worn it, he may not have gotten that money, is my point. And I think he should sell at the top of the market. You're talking about Adrian, I guess. He should sell at the top of the market. And in my opinion, anybody that's sitting on steel Rolexes that are worth significantly more than list at this point in time, like a steel Daytona or any kind of steel GMT or sub, anything that's worth significantly more than retail, and they can actually get that money without paying a big commission to some reseller or whatever, right? They can actually get that money in their pocket, in their hand. I suggest that they do it, and do it as soon as possible, because at some point this house of cards is going to come tumbling down, and a lot of speculators are going to get nailed. That's my opinion. Not financial advice, but that's my opinion. I have an uncle who bought an old Dodge Challenger as an investment. He's no genius. I don't know which Challenger it is, and some cars you could have done. I was in the antique and classic car business many, many years ago. I was an appraiser for many years of antique and collectible cars, and so we dealt in them and all that sort of thing. And, if you bought a Mercedes Gullwing, a 300 SL Gullwing, and you put it in the garage and you stored it there for 30 or 40 years, you got a pretty good return on a car like that. If you bought an AC Cobra back in the day, if you bought a GT500 KR convertible Shelby back in the day, I'm talking, let's say you bought it in the mid-70s, like a 1968 Shelby GT500 KR convertible, let's say you bought that in like 1975 and you paid like, $3,000 for it, something like that. That's what they were worth then. And then you stuck it in the garage and you kept it in that garage until now, right? That car's worth maybe $500,000. So yeah, you would do pretty good. But think about it. If you took that same money and you put it in the S&P 500 over that time period, you'd also have a huge return, right? So, but there aren't that many cars that would have been a good investment, let's say 50 years ago, to buy and then put in that garage for 50 years. Remember, you got costs associated with keeping that car in that garage. Even if you've got it up on blocks, you drain the fluids, and you're not doing anything to it. You're just setting it in a garage. A garage has a value. In this area, you can rent a garage space for $100 a month, right? So that's an expense, taking up that space, right? Got to figure all that in. Sell a $10,000 watch on eBay and get hit for about $1,300. That's right. That's the problem. So you got to find a buyer that's willing to wire that money to you, and then you send them the watch, and that way there's no commissions and all that. And that's how you got to do that watch sale. That's how I did my 18-karat gold stunner. The gentleman wired me the money, and I sent him the watch, and so there was no commissions, no nothing. So he got a watch at a decent deal. I did okay. Everybody did okay. There were no middlemen. Right? Watch like Barkin Jack sold his Batman for a profit, Cheetown, California, but he needed it for moving expenses. Now he's looking to buy probably another Rolex. Okay, fine. When you can flip those watches and make a profit, absolutely do it, man. That's dealing. That's not really investing, though. I consider that as buying and selling. That's more like dealing. Investment implies a long-term return on your capital, in my opinion. I'm very disappointed with my JLC. Each day it can gain 5 to 10 seconds. While it puts sideways on the table, it will lose 5 to 7 seconds. Ooh, yeah. I wouldn't put up with that. Of course, I'm a nutcase on I've gotten spoiled with these watches on the accuracy. I've just absolutely gotten spoiled. I don't think I can go back to Rolex or any of those watches anymore. I just really don't think I can. I'm going to wrap this up pretty soon here, folks, so put any questions you have in the chat. There's no Rolex bubble. We'll see. Time will tell on that. I'd be shocked if this remains for years to come. I think at some point it'll be where you'll just be able to walk in and buy those watches for list or even get a discount. Craig, has Grand Seiko finally reached the handcrafted quality of Panerai? I don't know about the quality of Panerai. I haven't really looked at them that much because I don't like the looks of the watches. So I can't get by the looks of them to where I'd even consider them. I mean, even if they're as high quality as Grand Seiko, I need quality and the look that I like. I need both because I like the look of I like my watch to look nice on wrist, right? I'm looking at it all day long, for gosh sakes. I want it to look nice, right? And I don't like the Panerais. I just don't like the design of them, the look of them. Okay, so a gray dealer pays $19,000 to $19,500 for Daytona white in excellent condition. There you go. Absolutely. If they can get like $24,000 for it, why not? Excuse me. I'm sorry. What does Donald wear? Are you talking about the president? He's got several expensive watches, I think. Craig, do you ever look at something expensive sitting around unused and think to yourself, I really should liquidate this for cash? Absolutely, I've done that. I've absolutely done that. I sold a lot of my knives, pocket knives. I sold a lot of extra camera gear. I had a bunch of Nikon lenses and gear. I switched to Sony, and I kept the Nikon stuff laying around, and I think I've sold it all at this point. I don't mess with trying to sell something that's not really worth it. If it's not worth $50 or $100, I mean, I'm not going to take the time to put it on eBay, right? If it's like $10 or something, I'll just donate it to charity or something like that. But like some of my more expensive knives that were worth like hundreds of dollars, like the Strider and some of the Hinderer, not the expensive knives. I've sold almost all of them. I now have the Chris Reeves Sabenza that I carry all the time, and I've got a couple of other knives, but I sold most of them. I sold all my other watches, right? I only have these two, this one, and the Apple Watch is all I've got now. I've got a Swiss Army Victorinox watch laying around here somewhere, but I don't even know where that is. But no, yes, I would liquidate things. Absolutely, I would do that. I own the probably one and only Longines quartz model that's 30 years old and has the same tolerance as a 9F of today. It has a tolerance of 1 minute and 5 years. I will mail you. I don't know what you mean. Okay. So next time you are on, you'll be able to tell the story. Okay. Well, I think we just told the story. Very well said. Okay. If I was spending $5K plus on a watch, I'd expect very good accuracy. I'd go straight past Rolex to GS with spring drive. There you go. Spring drive is pretty amazing. It really is. And see, because it doesn't have that escapement, that back and forth of the escapement, there's less wear and tear. It's everything's going in one direction. The whole mechanical movement, right? All of it's going in one direction. So it's going to go, I think, a lot longer between services. Most people that have these, that have had them like 15 years, have said that they're very bulletproof, reliable, long term. So we'll see. And let's see. How can I join the gang? Okay, well, just you have to have at least 2 members of the wrench gang vouch for you, and then we'll give you a wrench. So, and actually, if we only have our wags in here right now, so if he vouches for you, we'll give you. Carlos is here too, and he's an honorary member. He doesn't have a wrench, but he's an honorary member. So if those guys suggest that you need a wrench, we'll give you a wrench. That's what we'll do. Craig, was it a mistake to invest $50K in Omega? Did you buy Omega stock, or did you buy watches? If you bought $50K in Omega watches, I wouldn't call that an investment. I'd call that a purchase. Watch Doctor, never invest in watches. Everybody uses the term investment. I just really, people, I invested in a new car. No, you bought a new car. That's called an expense. It's a depreciating asset. Okay? I would not call that an investment. I'd call it an expense. That's just me. I invested in some clothes. No, you bought some clothes. They're not an investment, and they're certainly not a good investment. Our wags could give us some advice on that. If people can't buy the new Rolex they want, I think they will or should buy a Grand Seiko. And here's the thing. I mean, I think they'll be very happy with the Grand Seiko. That's my guess. Chip, are you offering the stunning diver for sale to your subscribers? I have thought about that, and I had one subscriber, and I'm not going to mention him, who he is, but that had expressed interest, and I gave him the price, $5,000. That's a good price for this watch, I think. And he may buy it, and I will honor that. I'm not motivated to sell it. I don't really have to sell it, but if he decides he wants it, he's a VIP, and I'm not going to say who it is, but $5,000, it would be his watch. So that's how that would work. Then I'd be wearing this puppy pretty much all the time. That's how that would work. And that's not a bad deal, really. Okay, so let's see here. I'm here in Alaska. Okay, that's a good time of the year maybe to be in Alaska. Not too cold. Trump wears a Day-Date yellow gold Patek Philippe lips. You mean Rolex Day-Date? Maybe that was a misspelling. Okay, good. Swiss quartz watches from the 1970s are far superior than they are today. Many Swiss quartz watches nowadays are big middle finger in the terms of quality compared to older ones. There you go. I think most of them are probably just throwaway watches, would be my guess. That's why I like the 9F. It's far from that. Let's see. You don't invest in a new car. You take a bath in a new car. Yeah, I call it an expense is what I call it. I try to have 75% of my retirement funds in Panerai watches. On that note, I think we will wrap this puppy up. But, yeah, anybody that wants to be a member of the Wrench Gang, just be a regular. This is the way it usually works. Just be a regular in here, and you know, the current Wrench Gang will acknowledge you, and at some point you'll be asked to become a member of the team. But if you're not a regular, there's no real reason to do it because you won't be using the wrench, right? The whole point of you having a wrench is hitting a troll on the head with it and getting the trolls out of here. We don't tolerate the trolls on this channel. So that's how that all works. All right, I'm going to refresh this, and then I'm going to end this puppy, end this podcast, this live stream, whatever we want to call it. There we go. Just refresh that just to make sure. And A.J. McDonald Jr., congrats on the new watch. Good show, Craig, from Andrew. All right, folks, let me wrap this puppy up. Remember what happened the last time with the wrench. That's right. We got to be careful giving out wrenches. Can't be a first-timer and ask for wrench. That's right. We got to be careful. See, that's the Wrench Gang are on top of things. They're even on top of who can get a wrench, much less who can be in here hanging out and comment and so forth. So that's right, Carlos. We do remember that. And that's why I think we have to, it has to be 2 members of the Wrench Gang vouch for somebody, and then we can make that happen. Then I'll be asked, once 2 are vouching, I'll be asked, and then I'll make the final decision. If I say, well, no, I'm not really sure, I still might not do it. So they're going to have to get through a screening process, right? That's how we would term that. Okay, Peter, you're very right about the older Swiss watches. Okay, nice one today. Okay, have a good weekend. All right. You're right, Carlos. A mole got in. Good night, guys. Okay. All right, here we go. Let's see if I can wrap this puppy up. Everybody have a great weekend. That's what I say. Everybody be in motion, making things happen.